here's everything you need to know to build a data prediction model in 60 seconds, so let's go. The first step, and more often than not, is going to be a data cleaning process because our data is never going to be clean when we first start with our project. You can take some empty values or fill NA in this case with Python, where we're replacing it with the average of that column. We're also going to deal with our outliers here to maybe evaluate if we need to keep them in our data model or remove them entirely. Step 2 is an exploratory analysis part where we're essentially going to build statistical models or distributions to get the general distribution of the data. This is really crucial because it allows you to visualize the data in a way that makes sense, and you can kind of take a step back and understand what's really going on in the whole analysis. Step 3 is usually a correlation and feature engineering part where we're going to make a correlation matrix defining the categorical variables as well as the numerical variables. We want to see what correlation these variables have or attributes have with one another. A direct correlation just means that if one goes up, the other one also goes up. An inverse correlation just means that if one goes up, the other one goes down in the same amount. Now, step 4, now that we've removed all of our unnecessary attributes, is going to be a model training step. In this step, we're essentially going to split our data into a training and a test. And typically it's about 70 to 30% where we have 70% of our data going into a training and a 30% of our data going into our testing validation model. This step is also where you can choose an algorithm or you can choose a model you want to use. Step 5 is going to be our evaluation step, where essentially if we're doing a regression part where you can evaluate our RMSE, which is our root mean squared error, figure out how much our trends are off as we increase over time. Or we can look at our F1 score if we're using a classification model where we want to see how accurate our data was predicting it over the target variables. Step 6 is going to be an optimization step where essentially we're going to look at our model, see if we can fine tune any parameters. Some parameters that are pretty typical that we tune are going to be our batch size of data, how much data we're taking in for every iteration, our number of epochs, which is how many iterations we're going to be doing overall. And lastly, we can evaluate our learning rate, which is how much data or how quickly we're learning the data over a sample size. Follow for more.